Pre-built websites are great, but sometimes they don't offer you the flexibility that you may need in your business. So head over to innersbusinessshow.com/ZimVentures and check them out today. Get a website that works for your business. It's important. Hello everyone, welcome back to the New Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana, and today we're here with Guy Tino from the Northeast Cafe. How's it going?
It's going great. It's a pleasure to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, I definitely am.
Sure.
Looking forward to this. You were the first restaurant I've had to sit down with. So.
Oh, wow, great. There's lots of us. That's great.
Yeah, so this will be a good jump up to, kind of where I'm looking to go with other businesses, so I'm really excited.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll give you a brief rundown of what the cafe does.
Yeah.
Up at the Northeast Cafe in New Boston, small place, 18 seats, sometimes 24 in the summer. We got some outside seating. We do lots of things, roast coffee, make some wine, which I'll open just as a tangent, right? Yeah. These grapes came from Chile. It's Melbeck, Mackenzie Snow, that's my daughter's name. And so this is sulfate free, which people like. It's not really New Hampshire wine because the grapes aren't even from this country. Yeah. But we make it here. We don't add anything to it. This is a good way to start a talk, right?
Yeah.
So this wine needs to breathe a lot. It's been
Thank you.
It's been under oak or in oak pretty much its whole life, and you can smell it, right?
Yeah.
So just let that let that sort of, you smell like the earth.
Yeah.
Even if you taste it. It needs to breathe, and that's a taste that you should know. I don't want to get this wood out.
No, it's fine. Just throw it down somewhere.
So after that breathes, we'll chat a little bit, and then we'll go back to it. You'll notice an incredible difference in the wine.
Wow.
16% alcohol. It's strong stuff. But I got into wine because we opened the cafe as like a dinner place, and back then you could. This is 9 years ago. Have BYO, so people were bringing wine in, locals that were making it on their own. I'm like, I got to get a part of this, and eventually we opened up, or we got licensed as a winery, but I don't make nearly enough to keep up. It's just kind of like a side thing that we got going on. Mostly, we do breakfast, roast coffee, make bread, and that's it. Lots of barbecue.
Yeah.
My background in food, I traveled mostly just the East Coast. I worked in Aruba, but that was just like for some fishermen. It was just a good experience to see what's it like when the grocery stores have moldy food and you're expecting it to be everything is there, and it wasn't. We had to have food flown in. That was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
Worked at a country club in North Carolina, which was really pretty fancy. It was one of my first opportunities to take a kitchen on my own. The executive chef was like, just go for it. And that was a lot of fun, reading about food, trying to put it together. Those jobs helped me ultimately, after I met this guy, Tim Horst, who's an incredible pastry chef, kind of lined me up with Michael Schlau, who's in Boston, and that took it to a whole nother level. Just wow, what these guys do for a living is crazy. Most of the kids I worked with went to culinary school, I'd say all of them. No, one kid didn't. And these guys are trying to be the best restaurant in the city every year, and they're doing it. We were doing it. But waiting on Tuesdays to see what the review was going to be like, it just wasn't the life for me.
Yeah.
These guys were so committed. And then me and my girlfriend at the time found the cafe. I think my mom actually found it. And we just went for it.
Yeah.
And opened up. And like I said, we started off with dinner. Because I thought I was a fancy French chef coming from this place in Boston. And then the people were just like, well, how about breakfast? And so we did. And now we open at 2. Open at 7, close at 2.
Yeah.
And that's the life. I'm glad we do breakfast and lunch instead of dinner.
Yeah.
In hindsight, for sure. My life is much better. Yeah. Yeah. No offense to chefs out there working their ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
So is there a big difference between kind of just serving breakfast, lunch over a dinner menu?
Absolutely. Try it now.
All right.
a lot of that sort of background gassy sort of smell is gone and the flavor is gone. You kind of it's mellowing out, right?
Yeah.
I always find that sort of fascinating with this wine.
Yeah.
Any deep red that I've made so far, it has like no oxygen almost its whole life, you know, and then it gets into the bottle and it's wine and you open it and then all of a sudden it starts to breathe.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, well, the difference between breakfast and lunch versus dinner is night and day, I would say. Literally, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning you come in, you make coffee, and then you have all this time to get ready for lunch. Whereas at dinner time, you come in and you start getting lunch ready, but you have to immediately start getting dinner ready. If you want to bring any sort of like caliber level to a dinner menu, you really have to get started pretty early. Whereas breakfast, you know, I walk in there at 10 of 7, turn on the coffee maker sometimes, and like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to come in at 10:30 to have dinner ready for 6 o'clock. You know.
Yeah.
So that whole thing, and what people expect, I mean, I think we get away with a lot as far as service or speed, or, you know, if there's a mistake in your omelet, it's kind of like, you know, can you fix this? But if there's a mistake on like, you know, $40 duck dish,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a whole nother level. So you can take all of that drama aside, you know, not worry about it.
Yeah.
Although obviously, you're obviously trying your best every time.
Yeah.
You know, but you definitely can't slack, because it's another difference on the same note. People like their eggs so much more variety than pretty much anything I can think of. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everybody has a way they like their egg, and that's really no other food I can think of that is like that. You know, the incredible egg, that's probably a pretty unique thing about breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had people who actually know quite a few people who they don't mind going out to eat,
Right.
but man, do they love going out to get breakfast.
Yeah.
Like there's something about just having a good meal the first thing in the morning.
Yeah, man, I agree. People, it's so relaxed, maybe. I mean, some of my most memorable meals are with my oldest friends eating breakfast. I mean, I met my wife. We didn't really meet her. I saw her eating breakfast. She was my waitress. I was just like, you're amazing. Come with me. So, yeah, I agree. I love breakfast. And it's what's kept us... Those people that love breakfast have helped us open breakfast in the very beginning, and have kept us open, because, you know, we see guys come in some a couple times a week, some families every single Saturday or Sunday at a certain time, and they're always getting, you know, they want the barbecue brisket omelet, you know, they get the same thing every week. You can tell they just love getting into that breakfast, you know. And coffee, of course, a huge part of the equation, whereas maybe beer and a good wine selection would be a part of the equation, you know, for dinner. Breakfast, you just have to have... We just roast one... I brought some. This is the coffee we roast. It's Sumatra. And if you can see... I don't know if you can hear that. How hollow those things sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good on the table. Right? Little radio. And see the different colors?
Yeah.
So each one of those things... Sumatra bean is awesome. Because you can roast it light or dark. And it has... if you want a good whiff, just stick your nose in that thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So the nice thing about Sumatra is that you can roast it light or dark, and it has different, you know, flavors. So sometimes if you would eat these, you could, you know, we could talk about that, but that would kind of ruin the Zinfandel. It might go good, actually. Who knows? But anyway, so it's a nice bean because it has this wide profile that a lot of different people can find a part of that they like, you know. Well, I think most people, Colombian is I think the most roasted bean in the world, I think, because it's a basic, like, that's what coffee tastes like.
Yeah.
Is, you know, Colombian coffee. But it's kind of hard to roast. It's only got this one spot, and I'm not very good at roasting coffee. So when I cook a bunch of it, let me tell you the story about why I roast coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Similar to you, you're subletting in this little spot, right?
Yeah.
In this chiropractor. A coffee roaster, Parker House Coffee. He's in Jaffrey now. He might actually come on here. Was at farmers markets. Needed a place that was certified to roast out of, so he could can it up in mason jars, and sell it in stores. Can't just make it at your house. I think if you want to sell it in stores, you can, if you want to just go to like the farmers market.
Yeah.
And there's some rules about that. But if you're packaging something, you need to be in a certified, inspected place. So I said, sure, come on in, bring your roaster. So he started roasting coffee for us in exchange.
Oh, wow.
And looking back on it, what he makes on coffee, he was giving me a really good deal.
Yeah.
Compared to the amount of time he was there, yeah. And he also, invaluably, showed me how to roast coffee.
Yeah.
And so in the end, I tried it with a rotisserie. I kind of built a little rotisserie in my oven. That didn't work. Ultimately, I just cook it in hotel pans.
Okay.
Hot oven, and I stir it up a lot. And the Sumatra bean works great because it doesn't cook very evenly at all. Like it would in a rotisserie. It would cook perfect, you know? But when you have all the different, it ends up with a good coffee.
Yeah.
So.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, you've mentioned a couple things I really want to touch on because I really like it's kind of the point behind this show too.
Yeah.
And having someone sublet for you to like with the coffee and you're talking about the families that come in every once a week or something like that.
Right.
Being a small town chef compared to a large city city chef, like you had mentioned,
right?
Very, very different feels, and it's a different type of business. But from everything we've sounded and from what I've seen from your reviews online,
right?
Like it's going very well for you there.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah, it is. We've been there for a long time.
Yeah,
and we don't. I've learned from some great top end guys that have so much respect for the craft. That when you take that mentality and you apply it to like your local diner, it makes my life easy because it's just kind of like you don't struggle. It's tough to say that without having a good example. But when you're going at it and you're bringing in good product from the back, and you know that you are doing the right thing to it most of the time to get it onto the plate, you have confidence. So when somebody's like, this place is terrible, and people have, don't be fooled. I've been told I'm like terrible, terrible multiple times, and you have to, and no matter where. I mean, you can't run away to New Boston and expect that won't happen because it will. But you can learn from that pretty easily, and you don't have the pressure of like a chef at Radius. This is where I worked. Patrick Connolly was amazing, still is amazing. Now he has his own place, Ryder, in New York City. If those guys falter or they lose commitment, the whole thing, that's not their place, and they just have the whole thing can come apart.
Yeah.
And you're always he would have meetings like bunches of other celebrity chefs would come and eat, and then when he would do a meal for them, and then he would go out there and just get blasted by these guys, and it was like a different lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the reason that I'm where I'm at, because the staff, there were 20 guys in that kitchen, white coats, perfect, and it's just like if you can lose all that extra stuff and keep the attitude about the food, you can have something for a long time. Because I can do this for a long time. I'm not going to get burnt out. Whereas I think Boston or New York City chef, wow, those guys are working. And they're putting themselves out there in front of all these people all the time. It's crazy. It's crazy what they can do.
Yeah, because when you talk about that level of being a chef, I think of like Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen,
right?
And just I don't want to participate in that type of environment.
Right.
If I was going to be a chef, I would love to be like a little more down to earth.
Yeah, well, some of the guys I've worked with, it's not like that. I mean, maybe there are some in some places, but it's actually a really good. Have you seen Ratatouille?
Yeah.
that's like a really good demonstration of what a kitchen can be like. Yeah. You know, I mean, one restaurant I worked in, Maple Street in Jensen Beach, he was so laid back until it came time to go, and it was on.
Yeah.
And he didn't really ever yell, but if you didn't perform, you just weren't on the schedule.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, at Trillium in North Carolina, if you didn't perform, you were blasted, like, in front of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so you had to be, you know, so you just manage differently. I don't think I have yelled, not ever in the cafe. I've never raised my voice in the cafe, but I had a consulting job one time, and this kid I did yell at him. I shouldn't have. We're still great friends. He's actually in Australia now. He's cooking. He made it. He's doing great. But anyway, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about.
Every once in a while, you know, having someone be very honest with you like that is probably needed if you want to progress.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just take it to a level you're like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
You can tell, I went to an interview one time with a guy who basically was like, you know, do you see these? Literally, like, do you see these accolades? Like, this is who you're working for, so I hope you're prepared. And it was just like, dude, I don't want to work for you. I want to work for the guy who's like, just can't believe that these farmers, I mean, they just cut this yesterday, like, and we're getting to put it on the plate today. Like, that's crazy. You're not the guy that's like, you know, pressed gold, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but you can find those guys that are out there, even at super high levels.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick minute to go to the sponsors. So everyone is holding hang tight. Take a moment and head over to nhbusinessshow.com/ideal to get started on your weight loss journey today. It's still early enough in the year that by the time the beach season rolls around, you'll still be able to lose a bunch of weight. So if that sounds like you every year, head over to nhbusinessshow.com/ideal and get started. Restaurants.
Yeah.
Notorious for failing first year. If they make it into the second year, I don't even know the number, like what, 90% failure, whatever the number is.
This failure rate is enormous. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because you've been successful. And so let's kind of go into how that happened for you.
Right, like that's a good question. Okay.
There you go.
Cool, man. You can have this actually. What do you think?
It's good.
You like it?
I like it. Yeah, I'm not a huge wine drinker, but it's...
Oh, dude, it'll get you.
It's good.
You gotta be careful with that stuff. That's such a small part of the business. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So whenever you're ready, Are we rolling now?
Yeah.
Oh well, welcome back.
Yeah.
You were just asking me like what the success rate of restaurants, and we were talking about earlier how just around here there's a couple buildings that can't seem to maintain, you know, occupancy. Their restaurant fails a lot, and you know, that huge number of like over 90% or even over, I would say 80% is a huge number failure rate because so many open. Like, you know, there aren't, I don't know if in the city, in New York, it's like multiple open and close a day.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I think that number just gets skewed a little bit just by the volume. But that also speaks to why people think they can just run one. You know, why are there so many people who think, like, yeah, I make good pastrami, like, I can open a deli, you know?
Yeah. There's
so much more to it. In our case, I think a lot of it had to do with luck, for sure. A lot of it had to do with there's sort of a vacuum in town. There wasn't really anywhere to eat. One restaurant, the big one that's now Molly's Tavern. Is it Molly's Tavern? Yeah, I think it is. It was Kiki's.
Right.
And then it was like the Boston, the John Stark. Oh, whatever. They were closed. Yeah. The Damien's, which was up the river, was closed. So there's a little bit of a vacuum, which gave us an opportunity to get a foothold. And once you've planted that seed, you just have to have the ability and patience to sort of nurture it without screwing it up. You know, you say, a great example is we planted a dinner restaurant seed, and it was like not going to grow there. So we had to kind of dig it up and plant a breakfast and lunch seed. You know, I didn't know anything. I didn't cook breakfast. Like I didn't know anything about breakfast. I worked for a day with my wife's boss, who was at a diner in Milford, and that's all I knew about cooking breakfast. I had gotten thrown out when I was trying to work at Maple Street, which I had mentioned earlier. Super cool chef there. I didn't have very many hours, so I tried to work at like Dinah's Diner on the river, on the causeway in Florida, and got thrown out. I thought I was legit. I had just come from the landings, which at Trillium, as the boss.
Yeah.
And then literally the guy that owned that diner, threw me out for putting rye toast in the toaster instead of multigrain. I couldn't tell the difference, and I thought I knew what I was doing, you know? So it just goes to show. So, that's being said, like, you just have to have the perfect thing that town is needing right there. Not necessarily what you want to have there. You know, like, if you can't force, you know, a mac and cheese place in, because no matter how good it is, if it's not the right environment and not the right soil, like, it's not going to grow.
Yeah.
So I think that's a vast problem. People try to open these restaurants that are not the right restaurant. You know, and they're not willing to say, hey, man, like, what do you want to see here? And then listen, instead of maybe like when they say, you know, you should really do your coleslaw this way, just like fly off the handle, you know, and then you're doomed. You know, if you can't adjust and realize that you're not, you know, this isn't your restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, I run it. I do my best to run it, but the people run that restaurant. I mean, the menu items are on there because that's what they want, you know? We just do the best to, like, keep the thing, you know, going. Feed it, you know? And try and keep the energy level up, which can be taxing, but, you know, roast coffee and drink it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings up a pretty good point, too. Like, even knowing what a town wants, you know? Because, like, is it just kind of like, oh, we're just going to wing it and hope it works? Or do you think there's any way to kind of gauge that beforehand?
Well, I mean, you gotta, you know, like, if you could tap into the restaurant owner's mind. I don't think I can even do that. I am one. You know, it's so funny. I'm trying to think of through all the ones that I know that just couldn't make it happen. Talented people with money behind them, and there must be just so much luck. Like, that's got to be part of the equation. Like, the way your family supports you, that goes a long way. You know, your car doesn't break down. That, you know, so, like, there's some things that have to happen. What a good example, when we moved into New Boston, Ash and I, we both had a dog. Could not find a place to rent. Like, we could not find a place to live. And the cafe is right downtown. And then we got a break, and this family, the Ryans, who are amazing, let us rent right there. And we were literally like 50 yards from the cafe. It was awesome. Woke up before anybody in town, walked over with the dogs, started the coffee, and the dogs like ran home. Yeah. I mean, New Boston is so different now than it was then. I mean, we had, I don't know if these numbers are right, but say like 3,000 people in town. Now there's like 6. I mean, it's just, you know, and that is another kind of piece of luck. Like, something happened in town where so many huge pieces of property are being sold and built on. Yeah. Whereas that's kind of lucky for us. We didn't foresee that. It wasn't I'm not a real estate person. Couldn't figure, you know, we didn't open in there assuming the town was going to have this boom. Yeah. We just sort of lucked out into it, you know? Yeah. And we were able to hold on for long enough to now our base, you know, we're pretty comfortable now. Our base is wide. You know, we try to, you know, adapt as we go on. You know, but hopefully we're, you know, be there for a long, long time. Yeah. Yeah, you know? Yeah.
Because, like I said, once you get in there, it's kind of like, okay, we've we've been here long enough. We're kind of a staple in the town.
Yeah,
We're kind of the place people know to go, and
Yep.
it's enough of a routine that
Yep.
you'll at least pull on a pretty good.
And like you're saying, you were able to just look us up.
Yeah.
People, we have these campgrounds like everywhere out there. I mean, there's like, I would probably say there's probably 50,000 campsites for RVs or whatnot between New Boston, Greenfield, Ware, that whole area out there. There's tons of camping.
Yeah.
So now people are just like, where do I eat?
Yeah.
And there we are. Whereas, and that just takes time. You can't fabricate that.
Yeah.
And even if you screw up a couple times or people are just not fair, it takes a while. It's like a credit report. You screw up a little bit, it's a big deal when there's no other credit. But if you build up credit, and then they screw up a little bit, it's like people will forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just time, which is, how do you, you just got to be lucky and be there for a long time. It's like, okay. Obviously the food has to be good and you have to be nice to your employees. I feel like that's getting into the nitty gritty. So like, another great example is we roast coffee. I used to spend $14 a pound on coffee. Now I spend $4.50. I don't have any special equipment. I just roast it in the oven. Nice. So that's something that happened, I don't know how long it's been, say 3 or 4 years ago, which was like, wow. Everybody, those things, like, holy moly, we just saved $30,000 in coffee beans. It's like, whoa. But you have to figure those out, or making your own bread. You could give or take there. It kind of depends. You ruin a lot. A lot of it gets messed up, especially when you're trying to teach people, or you're not paying attention. That's usually what happens. And so that can kind of wash out. But you got to be present. You can't expect. So you can't hire a chef to run your kitchen if you want it a certain way. If you want it his way, and he's willing to adapt to what the people are asking him. Okay, but you should be the man or the woman. If you're going to run that kitchen, you need to run that kitchen. Yeah. Otherwise, your people won't listen. If you don't do the dishes, or if you can't fix a drain that won't drain, you're not willing to get in there and fix it. How are you going to expect a 15-year-old dishwasher? He'd never worked before. But if you show him how, now the next thing that dishwasher will become your cook, and you keep these people. Because you're teaching them, and that's a good way to succeed. Is you have people that know your business, and are confident in your decisions. Because you've showed them the way instead of being like, quit putting potatoes in the sink because it clogs the sink. Billy, unclog the sink. It's like get in there, clean it. Just make an example. I think that can help a lot. Yeah. Same with the front of the house. If you're that bubbly personality who likes to be out there. You hire yourself a chef. You got to be out there. And you got to take it on the chin when you screw it up and apologize and fix it. Instead of just getting frustrated. These restaurants are tough. But, I don't know. I've never done landscaping, so I don't know. I don't know what other business. I'm sure building. I've heard of some building owners or homeowners that fly off the handle with some of these builders, and they're just like, we can't do it that way because the water is going to fill your basement. Yeah. And people just don't get it. So I'm sure in building there's similar.
I'm sure.
The general, maybe
That's funny. I've always had this idea. I'm like, I don't know if anyone's ever tried it. It's probably because of permitting. Yeah. Like, go to a place that you kind of want to put a restaurant. Yep. And stand out there with like a cart of like your food. Yeah, yeah. And be like, and just. Like, what do you think? Serve it to people. Is this good? Would you come here to a place that served this? Right. And you can at least gauge it. Do something other than just, I'm going to make this like $100,000 investment in a building.
Or $100,000 is scratching the surface.
Yeah. Plus the equipment. Yeah, we're just going to go for it. I'm like, no, let's figure it out a little bit.
a great reason. Another one for a breakfast place is it costs like nothing. I didn't roll into New Boston with a bunch of dough. There wasn't like that at all. We just bought this, had a little 18-inch electric grill to start. We had a little electric boiler, nothing. And then, you build it up and then buy it. Yeah. Like, we don't have the money to buy it now, and it may not work anyway. So let's just try to make the money first and then buy it. And I've been very lucky with, you find things online, you like get really good deals, or people that are like demoing something. That's happened to me a couple times. It's nice to just wait for the equipment. Don't just go in and buy $60,000 kitchen.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You might be done in 2 years. You have no idea. So start small and like plant that seed small.
Yeah.
Let it grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. So you had mentioned earlier you're doing a delivery service now?
Oh yeah. We let me start over again, right?
Yeah.
You join an email list, and a weekly menu comes out to you.
Yeah.
And had to change gears there for a second. You pick what you need off that menu, for 2 people or for 4 people, and then you pre-order by Sunday, and then we get those orders in and we cook everything Tuesday when we deliver it to you, fresh, oven ready, not frozen. And like I said, the menu changes every week. This week, which is Asian week, backed by popular demand, is like Asian pulled pork, sweet and sour chicken with rice, sesame tuna, and like a stir fry for the vegetable. So there's like poultry, meat, fish, vegetable, and then the soup, sweet and sour soup, and we have lemonade cupcakes, and you can get pies, and you can actually buy this wine. It's where we sell the most of it is through the deliveries.
That's
and
cool.
I only make 70 gallons, so 140 gallons a year, and most of it sells that way.
Yeah.
So it started off as a family that I knew was like, we work all the time. Can you set us 4 meals to our house, every week? We'll just pay you once a month. Wow, this is great. The cafe does good, but it's not that big. It's hard to make real money with eggs. You'd have to have a couple of them if you really wanted to go for it. But this is different. This has no ceiling, really.
Yeah.
So we invited other people along that I knew. It was like, hey, I'm making this week for these people. Do you want me to make you some too?
Yeah.
And then slowly built up and built up. There's 990 emails now.
Oh, wow.
We cooked for, last week, we cooked for 390 portions. So that's over 100 of the 10s. Some are 2s and some are 4s. The week before that was a record at like 450. It's 450 people out of this little cafe. And you don't have any of the silverware, you don't have any of the plates, you don't have any of you have the staff, because man, that kitchen is like wild on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then there's drivers and stuff. But we're able to take that cafe footprint and just sort of expand its ceiling. It's limitless now, really.
Yeah.
The ceiling. I mean, the potential for Dinners Delivered to become so big that it can't be done at the cafe anymore, I think is a level that we're in no rush to get to.
Yeah.
It's like this would be a good example of somebody maybe having too much gusto, if you can say that, because how can you have too much gusto? But like in saying, okay, Dinners Delivered is really turning into something. Let's buy, even if we just expanded, like there's a barn next to us, and we just laid out, a $60,000 kitchen. And like big old refrigerators and like all kinds of fancy stuff, and went for it. It would take so long to make that money back.
Yeah.
That now, like what you're comfortable with, like you're getting comfortable. Now we were getting comfortable. We were starting to get more comfortable. Is now become a burden. Whereas you let it grow sort of slowly. We just word of mouth. We hardly advertise.
Yeah.
At all. We do in the Beacon in New Boston, but if you just instead of creating a need to go out there and sell more of it faster, you just let sales determine, or this steady sort of like pulsing growth. Like it'll go to 100 and then it will go, 70, 110, 80, 120.
Yeah.
It kind of like pulses as it grows. And if you're just good with that and just kind of like let it go, just let it,
Yeah.
It seems to be working.
That's good, because then if it goes that way, eventually it'll hit a point where, oh my god, we're at the limit of what we can do.
Yeah.
Then it'll.
But by then,
a little bit,
right? But like so, say you pulse into one of these scenarios, like you're saying, like whoa, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Which has almost happened. 490 was a lot.
Yeah.
But we just added hours. We added hours to get the work done. We added hours on Monday. But like you're talking about a space issue now.
Yeah.
Like we need, you can't just let food sit out. So like it's cold. And we have a big walk-in, but it was like, wow, this thing is full. Like I've never seen it like that before. It's crazy. And then it settles down a little bit. Or we need another refrigerator. Like one refrigerator. Not deluxe, monster, just buy one little guy, fill that thing up. Buy another one, fill that thing up, and sell them both on Craigslist and get another big one. And just let it grow sort of like that.
Yeah, because there's actually another really good point here, and there's the question of if expanding for a new kitchen is what's needed, other than maybe going back looking at the process of how it's being done, and maybe making it more efficient on that end, and then the system will kind of like shore itself up a little bit, and take on a little more before you actually would have to do a full expansion.
That visual about like you're looking at a system and it's like flexed in some areas, to be able to calm that with something else. Like you have to be able to see your business, I think, no matter what it is, in that sense, as like an overall machine, instead of like, we're out of refrigeration. It's like, well, wait a minute, what if we cooked all the pork yesterday and cooled it? Now we're already cold. So like we can add now the next day, all the rice can cool down.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, we're out of refrigeration, it's like, well, wait a minute, let's just change the system a little bit and then we'll be fine.
Yeah. So again, tips for business owners. Sometimes it's not about expanding. It's looking at what you've already set. Changing the system as it's getting stressed out, and then just letting it adjust to itself a little bit.
Maybe do everything you can before you expand. A good example on the contrary might be Harlow's. I don't know if you ever go to Peterborough. Peterborough's a cool little town. Pearl is out there, which is phenomenal, and Harlow's. They shut the thing down for, I don't know, a while, months, to rebuild their kitchen. But it was like they couldn't do it anymore. They got to the point where it was like, we have to like change this whole thing, otherwise it's over. And once you start to stumble and stuff goes sour, I mean, what are you gonna have? You can't have like a pre-order waiting list. Like some restaurants can get away with that, like Piccadilly's or something in Mason is a little cafe. They have like reservation only. It's like, that's phenomenal. I mean, you just like already know who's coming, and you just work that hard. You don't expand. You just tell your people, like, this is what we got. What a great business model. If you can achieve that.
It's like, this is the space. This is what we can schedule. Like, that's it. And literally exactly how many people you're going to serve that.
And they do it, and it works, and people die to go there, and it's like a great, great spot. But how do you, to achieve that, that's maybe is in what every restaurant owner wants, is like people just dying to come to your restaurant. So much so that you're like, you come at 10:30.
Or like some of the more exclusive places you've heard about where you literally can't get in unless they tell you can come. Like, that's the goal. You're driving a Benz or a Ferrari or something.
Some of these guys.
Oh, that's funny. Because I've seen it. I think there's a place in Goffstown that just closed down a couple days ago. And we were always talking about kind of what their problem was to begin with. Besides the price, because I don't mind paying a little more for food, especially if it's like independently owned, like you guys, or another small restaurant. I'll actually pay a little more for that. I don't mind. Because I like the down to earth feel of that type of thing.
And you might be surprised, some of the bigger places you assume are cheaper, and they're just not. You're paying an extra $50 or $75 on your coffee that you don't notice. You go Milford. All the prices are relatively the same, but then you go to, say, like IHOP, and you're going to be like, what? I just spent that on breakfast? And it's like kind of this misconception. I think sometimes. But anyway, sorry.
Anyway, so we were laughing because the menu is pretty big. And I'm like, my thing is, what I always told them is, in that particular town, Goffstown, there's a phenomenal pizza place. Like, you're not going to beat them. For basic non-specialty pizzas, you're not going anywhere else for the most part. And then you have the really, really good Chinese place. And then like the really, really nice sub place. So there's kind of a couple of things that work very well. And then you had this place.
A lot of those have been there for a long time, too. Yeah.
And then the new place kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think in a lot of places that's what hurts people.
Yeah.
Is without realizing that sometimes having a big menu with a wide variety isn't good.
Right.
You know, it actually really hurts you, because I kept telling them, like, hey, if you want to do breakfast stuff, or not breakfast stuff, but like subs and cold cuts, I'm like, don't compete with the dude across the street, because they've been here forever. They have a huge customer base. You won't do it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, like, look at the menu, find out, again, we were saying what the town wants.
Right.
And
if there's room for you there. I mean, you got to be lucky.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get a town that needs you, wants you there.
Yeah, and find a place that your services aren't available. You know?
Right.
So pick something and put it on the menu that they're not going to find somewhere else, and they can't.
Right.
And
or provide some sort of like atmosphere that's just so much more relaxing, or so much more something else than you know, like these sub places you go in, you know, like I get the number 9 and I'm out. But if you have a place where you can chill, maybe there's not that there. Maybe it's not necessarily just the menu.
Yeah.
But there might be more to it than that. But obviously, I mean, in any restaurant, if you can't write an efficient menu, you're doomed. You know, you're the waste kills restaurants.
Yeah.
All across, whatever it is, payroll waste, gas. Although gas is kind of a flagrant sort of gluttonous usage at restaurants. Sometimes you see everything as just, you know, it's hard to conserve fuel.
Yeah.
But like food waste, you have this menu that includes spring mix. You got to buy quite a bit of it at a time. Not too many small packages of spring mix, and once it goes, you got to throw it out, get a new one, like just take it off. Iceberg lettuce lasts much longer. Spinach mess, you know, much longer.
Yeah.
Little things like that in the industry for sure, you know, and just efficiency and having versatile people, you know, that's hard, although they're hard to find. And one of my probably saving graces is that we don't need very many people. It only takes, I don't know, there's like 6 of us. I mean, that's a lot. We usually don't have, if there's even 6. So that's nice. We don't need a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know, they're hard to find.
Yeah. And you know, saying there's one place that was just like you could cut their menu in half, and it still would have been touching maybe a little too big.
Right, and I don't know how much to say, but I feel like they didn't have a hood. They didn't have a hood system, so they're pretty limited. So like, it's just tough. Like when you go into a place and you're trying to build something, and I believe they came from a spot that was doing well but wasn't big enough. Yeah. We almost rented from them in Goffstown, right in front of Ace Hardware.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome little restaurant space. Mm-hmm. Awesome, and we thought it was going to be where it was at. But we ended up found New Boston, and it was like, I mean, if you see the place, it's just, the place is like I don't know, it's like a, not reality. When you walk in, it's like walking away from everything that's outside.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's an example of maybe trying to get too big. Like, why don't you just stay in this little corner and just, like, you don't need, like, that Mercedes. You know, you just need to live your life and, you know, go from there instead of trying to chase it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So this has been fun, rolling out at just about our hour time limit here. So
great.
For people who want to reach out, get a hold of you, check out whatever his name, Tom, the little hand puppet. You know, how do they get a hold of you?
Tom is some guy. No. Where'd you hear about? Oh, because of the
I was checking it right out on Facebook. Yeah.
One of the waitresses was like, "You have to have Tom or some guy say something on the radio." So there you go. That's really funny. People love that for some reason. I don't know where it came from, or it just sort of started, because honestly, the dinners on Tuesday is just so much. Like, there's so much organizing, and my mind was breaking. And then Tom, some guy showed up. Such a good relief. You know? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, go to Facebook.
Yeah.
You could even now, this is new, you can go to Tom or some guy on YouTube. He has his own YouTube
That's
page.
funny.
So make that happen, people. Or, you know, Northeast Cafe on Facebook. 8 Mill Street, New Boston.
Yeah.
Dinners delivered menu. You would just email me, dinners delivered at northeastcafe.com. And then you can get on the menu. Or go, if you're on Facebook and scrolling, just ask me there. That's how we got in touch.
Yeah.
So I'm on there regularly. But yeah, this is great.
Yeah, definitely.
Good time, man.
Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me
I
too.
love talking
I could do this
and
forever.
restaurants. And
yeah, I could do it forever, man.
Yeah, definitely. So, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, great time. Thank you.
A lot of fun. And for everyone else, we're going to roll with the last word from our sponsors, and I'll see you in the next interview. Take a quick moment to check out nhbusinessshow.com/goldstar to see if joining a referral program would be helpful to you and your business. If you want qualified leads and referrals coming in that are much easier to sell, they're less expensive and all around just better quality, check them out. You won't be disappointed.